Pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which
stands one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
for a moment of silence. Thank you.
Okay.
And I'm going to call on Ms. Parker to give us the roll call, please.
Karen Warden,
Present.
Dr. Sheila Williams,
present,
George Archuleta,
Here.
Virginia Houston,
Present.
Pam Pereza, here, Rodney Walton,
Here.
and Daniel Spence.
Here.
Okay, and Board Member Houston, would you offer the ethics awareness statement, please?
Welcome to the June 29th, 2022 meeting of the Elizabeth City Pasquotank Board of Education. It is my duty to remind members of the board that it is your responsibility to avoid all conflicts of interest and potential conflicts of interest in accordance with Chapter 138A of North Carolina General Statutes. As public servants, it is your duty to continue to monitor, evaluate, and manage your personal, financial, and professional affairs in such a way as to ensure the absence of conflicts or potential conflicts. Does any member know of any conflict of interest or potential conflict of interest with respect to any matter coming before the board this evening? Let the record reflect that no conflicts exist.
Thank you, Ms. Houston. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda with the following amendments. And these amendments have to do mostly with the schedule that the public has. So with that said, the amendments are FBT 03 under the financial report. There is no FBT 03. FBT 06, also under the financial report, will be for information only. PE01, which is under personalized education, the AIG plan, that is for action. And GCHS 01, which is under global citizens, the bid award for food supplies, that is for action. Okay, and I need a second for approval.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and approved. So we take a roll call vote.
Dr. Sheila Williams,
yes,
George Archuleta,
Yes.
Virginia Houston,
Yes.
Pam Pereza,
Yes.
Rodney Walton,
Yes.
Daniel Spence.
Thank you. That motion is approved. And now we're going to move on to the superintendent report. This is our interim superintendent, Dr. Ingram. This will be his last report for us. We have in attendance tonight, and I'm very proud to say, our new incoming superintendent, Dr. Keith Parker, who is sitting at the dais with Dr. Ingram. So with that said, Dr. Ingram.
Thank you, Madam Chair, board members, members of the audience. You have been invited by Mayor Kirk Rivers to a dinner and social at the Museum of the Albemarle on Tuesday, July 26th. There will be dinner at 6 p.m. Other locally elected boards are invited. It is just a social event. There is no agenda. So put that on your calendar if you can come. Now, the rest of my report tonight will be from the lens of an educational leadership consultant, because that's what I do. And first of all, I want the community to recognize that you have a really good board. I mean that. Thank you. And I feel compelled to thank you by name. Mr. Walton, Dr. Williams remotely, thank you. Mr. Spence, thank you. Ms. Pereza, thank you. Ms. Houston, have to say Ms. Houston, thank you. Mr. Archuleta, thank you. And last but not least, of course, Ms. Warden, thank you. It's been an honor. I've got a few recommendations for your consideration. You may remember back in April of 21, gave you an article about the Lighthouse study. You probably should still have it, but I've got some copies. If you don't, I can provide more. And I've got another article to give you tonight. The studies show that high impact boards have a positive effect on student achievement. Likewise, high impact boards that exhibit a high level of commitment to their professional usually attract and keep good superintendents, which I believe we have done. And by doing that, we also attract and retain great executive leadership, great principals, teachers, and support staff. And I have a few more specific recommendations just for your consideration. I would continue defining your concepts and protocols from the shared value work we did. Together with your new superintendent and staff, I would undertake the creation of a new, bold vision and mission for ECPPS. Strategically, I recommend a design team. You can call it anything you want, but I recommend something like that, consisting of several principals, teacher, and student leaders to be charged with drafting this work. Let them do the work for you, or the bulk of it. Some of this has been done. We had a meeting at Montero's. We've archived that information. And I've also interviewed select seniors from Northeastern and also PCHS, Pasquotank County High School, and they actually produced a draft of a vision that you'll have, that you can work from. You don't have to recreate the wheel there. As you identified, I would make sure that one of your protocols is developed around communication, because each one of you, the first time in my career that a board individually has said communication is your number one priority, so keep it that way. Develop a good protocol for that, at least one. And this sounds like a broken record, but it's so important. Remain cognizant. You understand it very well, but remain cognizant of the difference between governance and management, respecting those boundaries. Incorporated into ongoing professional development. You cannot do too much professional development. Most boards don't do enough, quite frankly. Consider adding expected time spans for board agenda items. For instance, if we don't do it now, but you may want to consider, or don't have to, closed session from, I'll just pick a time, 6 to 6:30. That way, having time frames for each agenda item tends to keep us on schedule. It keeps us to task. It minimizes the chances of straying off course sometimes. But we're all human, and that happens from time to time. But that's a practice I've seen in other places. And I understand, if you choose to implement some of these things, and this is just an overview, this isn't everything, it won't happen all at one time. I think that the board, you should engage with your new superintendent or Dr. Parker to have a retreat to define his specific performance goals. The first goal, as I've said before, should be to collaboratively create a new bold vision. And please remember that, like democracy, the board superintendent function is fragile. So you have to always work on this together. So including those that are charged with doing the work, i.e. our teachers and our principals and our support staff at our schools, they should be involved in this work, because that provides the North Star, the direction that you'll take for the next several years. What they think matters. What they think matters. And I know you believe that, because I've had individual conversations with you about this. Finally, and most importantly, I want all of us to support Dr. Parker and his recommendations for instructional improvement. He is the professional educational consultant to the board. We understand, Dr. Parker, we understand that we just can't cross our fingers and hope that you stay for a long time. Certainly that's what we want, but we also understand that we have to work together to make that happen. High impact boards understand that and do that. Recently departed friend of mine, Tom Pazant, spent 11 years in Boston as their superintendent, which is almost unheard of. 11 years in Boston. He died last year. But part of that was his ability to build great relationships with the Board of Education in Boston Public Schools. So just because we're smaller doesn't mean we're not greater. Elizabeth City Pasquotank Schools is greater, but it has to be an intentional effort. And finally, I have enjoyed reconnecting with our community, and I will always remain available to you as an ardent supporter of Elizabeth City Pasquotank Public Schools. So, Madam Chair, board members, Dr. Parker, members of the audience, thank you. And here's that article, I promise. That concludes my report.
Thank you very much, Dr. Ingram. We appreciate
Thank you.
We appreciate everything that you have done. We appreciate all the advice that you have shared, your wealth of knowledge that you have shared. I know our community has appreciated your involvement, and we look forward to quite possibly calling on you again to continue our board protocols. I do want to continue that, and I hope that the other fellow board members are in agreement with that, that we would like to complete that task. I think it's very, very important. I do have something that I wanted to give you on behalf of the board for your time with us. Just something very light. We want you to enjoy your retirement. Enjoy your time with your grandchildren. You have a new grandson coming along.
Coming
Yeah.
next month.
And hopefully you'll be teaching him all the tricks of the trade that you know. And I think you know many. So, but with that said, let me, and notice the bag. I got that on purpose.
Oh,
Best day ever.
thank you.
And that's not a reflection from us. That's probably how you're feeling.
Paddleball, pickleball.
A pickleball set. I know that you're an avid tennis player, or you were,
I was.
and you're always reflecting on the fact that your knees will not allow you to play tennis as effectively as you would like. But I had to tell you, baby, it's more than your knees. You got some hair right here like mine. So we start slowing down on activities like that. But from what I recall, I talked to some friends of mine at Parks and Rec and some people in Currituck that I know. And there are a lot of old gents and ladies as well who are out there playing pickleball. So you should be able to handle that, you and your knees. So enjoy.
I will.
Enjoy.
Thank you so much, Darren.
And we're looking forward to seeing you come back and share your knowledge with us. And maybe we'll have a pickleball game.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Okay. Now, I'd like, if there are any board members who would like to share anything with Dr. Ingram at this time, I encourage you to do so. If not, we're going to go on with our business for tonight. Anything? Anyone?
I would, and this is just repeating, but I would certainly like to let you know that we really do appreciate the service here. And I met you a long time ago, but I can't say that I really knew you. But I think that I have come to know you better, and I congratulate you on being able to recognize and call me by my first name, because that's my preference.
Takes a while.
Did you hear that?
Yes,
Dr.
ma'am.
Parker? Thank you.
And Dr. Parker, she's like E.F. Hutton. You better listen, you know, okay.
Goodness gracious.
So use your first name. All right, let's go on with our business. I need a motion from the floor to approve the minutes for May 23rd and June 20th as presented.
I move that we approve the minutes from May 23rd and June 20th.
Okay, and a second?
Second.
All right, we've had a motion and a second, and now we will take a roll call vote.
Dr. Sheila Williams,
Yes.
George Archuleta,
Yes.
Virginia Houston,
Yes.
Pam Perezza, Rodney Walton,
Yes.
and Daniel Spence.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And so we'll move along. We do not have any public comments tonight, so we're going to move to our financial committee meeting, and we have some presentations from Finance Officer Rachel Haynes.
Did we forget the?
Am I not correct about that?
Consent agenda was next.
Am I looking at something else here?
Okay, maybe mine may be wrong.
It is the consent agenda, yes.
Consent agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I skipped that. I'm sorry. My apology, folks. We need approval on the consent agenda. That will be a motion to approve that from the floor and a second, and then we'll vote on those items.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda for May 23rd, 2022. As attachment FBT 02, FBT 04, P01, and PC 01. Correction, motion to approve it.
Are we correct now? Okay. And we need a second on that. Okay? And a roll call vote.
Dr. Sheila Williams,
Yes.
George Archuleta,
Yes.
Virginia Houston,
Yes.
Pam Perezza, Rodney Walton,
Yes.
and Daniel.
Okay, thank you. Now we will move on with the Financial Committee meeting report by Chief Finance Officer Rachel Haynes. And I do apologize. I was very, very proud of myself that I got all those amendments correct, and then I go and screw up the next item. So again, I do want to apologize, and Chief Finance Officer Rachel Haynes, you may continue with your report.
Chair Ward, Vice Chair Williams. Clarification, and we will be requesting to have several items, have FBT 01, FBT 02, FBT 04, and FBT 05, be requesting action on, and then FBT 6. That better? Speak louder. Can you hear me any better, Mr. Spence? All right, I'll just speak louder. How about that? Okay, so the first item on the agenda this evening is FBT 01, budget amendments. Budget amendments number 108, 05, 309, 401, 807. So budget amendment 108 is for the state public school fund and shows an overall increase of $160,300. The increase is to align salaries to position allotments and additional allotments for PRC 056, transportation of pupils, and PRC 062. Budget amendment number 205 is for the current expense fund. No overall increase or decrease, but aligns the budget to actual expenditures. And you'll see that there's an explanation attached. It should be page 2 of that amendment. It shows you the detail of it. Budget amendment number 309 is for federal grants fund and shows an overall increase of $105,730. The increase is for an additional allotment of PRC 60 and PRC 203. Budget amendment number 401 is for the capital outlay fund and shows an overall increase of $120,639. The increase is for the athletic facility. You have to think of budget. Uh, 40 Oh. There are no questions. Next. Calendar is ordered. If there are no questions, we're moving to this allows us. Three. Any questions? Next item. If needed, the balance of funded action. Okay, burn expense, letter. Any transfer. Doesn't have. Final item.
Are there any questions about any of those items? I know that there weren't any when she asked, but has anyone have anything that they want to ask, have any concerns? Okay, so I ask for a motion on the floor to take action on those items that she requested. Okay, we've had a motion and a second. You got the second, right, Ms. Park? Okay, and now we'll have a roll call vote.
Dr. Sheila Williams,
Yes.
George Archuleta,
Yes.
Virginia Houston, Pam Pereza, Rodney Walton,
Mr. Walton?
and
Yes,
Daniel Spence.
I'm sorry.
Daniel Spence.
Okay, motion approved. And so now, thank you, Ms. Haynes. Thank you very much. Now we'll move on to the Personalized Education Committee Chair, Pam Pereza.
Good evening, everyone. This evening, I have the pleasure of giving some news. On Thursday, I had the opportunity to attend the annual conference, of our at that time, there were several of our members of our staff present. I asked them if they would contact. I share that with our community, because we have a lot. Now, I do have to repeat And this is from the program because I'm gonna call up that I read what the recognition was about, and so that you understand how honorable it was, because for several of them, just read and the state recognized.
Oh, wow.
State.
Wow.
So we have a lot of that. So the first award that was given, can't say it first, but one of the awards that was given was the Dr. Lynn First Time Scholarship Award. And that award is in honor of Dr. Lynn Harvey, who represented North Carolina as 1718 nutritionist president. And they gave 3 first-time scholarships, and they are awarded annually to members of the School Nutrition Association of North Carolina who had never attended the state conference. The scholarship provides a complimentary registration and a $500 towards the conference expense to each recipient. And I'm going to ask that Ms. Chris Turner come up because she was one of 3 recipients in the state this year. I'm screaming. So Ms. Crystal Turner is the manager for Pasquotank Elementary School. And again, if you can give her another hand clap. And so the next one was a Ronald Ross Inclusion Scholarship Award. Ronald Ross Inclusion Scholarship Award was established in the honor of a gentleman who served as the president. And this scholarship provides an annual national conference scholarship to one member, one state, who had never attended the annual national conference. The scholarship will provide $1,500 to help with the registration, hotel, and travel costs. And that scholarship award was given to Ms. Tarika Hughes, and that was the only one. Worked with our district at the district office. And so then I'm gonna ask, this one was kind of funny, and an act of Congress, short of, to get her to attend the conference. But this Mary Long Beasley Distinguished Service Award, and Miss Mary Long Beasley was a former child nutrition director who served in the Nash, Rocky Mount, Johnson County, and Washington City schools. She served as the assistant director of the Child Nutrition Services, the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction. She was president of the North Carolina School Food Service Association and lobbied for a nutritional program for children at the state and national levels. She loved school nutrition and was one of the strongest supporters of the School Nutrition Association. And they said to have known Mary Long Beasley was to know school nutrition. Her positive and optimistic outlook was contagious for those who met her. She was dedicated to providing healthy meals to students and to promote learning. And so each year, the School Nutrition Association of North Carolina recognizes, they said a member this year, they actually recognized 3 that exudes the same joy and the optimism that Miss Mary Long Beasley was known for. And so this year, one of the 3 was Miss Maria Griffin. And so I'm going to ask Miss Connie Reinhardt to also come up so that she can tell you a little bit of the act, short of the act of Congress it took to get Miss Griffin there. And we're going to talk about Ms. Griffin some more, but I do want to recognize Ms. Reinhardt also, because she takes the time to find these opportunities, and you have to write narratives and applications, I'm sure, to get these recognitions. And I want to thank you for doing that for our ladies. That means a lot. And thank you for inviting me to be a part of that night. I really had a good time, and it was good to just be at the table with the ladies and hear them planning for next school year. They had a trade show when they were talking about, you know, the foods that they want to be able to try or to introduced to some of the kids next year. And it was just a fun evening. It was worth the drive there, and I did stay overnight, but came right back. And also Ms. Reinhardt was recognized on the board of directors for the state of North Carolina.
Oh, wow.
School Nutrition Association. So that's a big deal too. So give her a hand clap. I wanted to tell them the length that you had to go to get this.
Well, I started begging Miss Griffin to go about 2 months ago, and she didn't want to go. She doesn't love the drive and the traffic. She had grandchildren in, and we had like 10 different excuses that she couldn't come. And then I got a call from the state, and they said, we noticed the registration and we have the winners, but Miss Griffin is not registered. Can you get her here? And I said, yes. How sure are you? And they said, well, we can't say, but we're pretty sure enough to call you and ask you to register her. So I called her and she said no, and I called her daughter. I called her daughter and told her the situation, and she said, I'll do my very best to talk Mom into it. And finally, she said, I think her daughter said, Mom, I think she has a pretty good reason you need to go. So we got a babysitter for the grandchildren, and she came, and I appreciate that so much. Very proud of these ladies. Thank you.
One thing to recognize, and something that Ms. Reinhardt, when she invited me for, we knew about the other recipients, but we just wasn't sure about Ms. Griffin, but of course, she's trained a lot of the managers that we have here, and knowing the setups. So you can't. But thank you all, and thank you for what you do for our district, and please continue that. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, ladies. Congratulations. Once again, ECPPS has some outstanding people, and you are among them. So we appreciate everything you do. We're excited about next year as well. And Ms. Griffin, thank your daughter for. My daughter has quite an influence on me as well. So thank her from us. It was quite an honor. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, now we have Nina Griffin. She will present the 2022 AIG plan.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Chair Warden, Vice Chair Dr. Williams, distinguished board members, Interim Superintendent Dr. Ingram, and newly elect Superintendent Dr. Keith Parker. I come before you this evening to present the information in regards to the 2022-25 District AIG Plan. The North Carolina Department of Public Instruction, under the Division of Advanced Learning and Gifted Education, brings together various advanced programs to ensure collaboration and partnership. Supporting the advanced learning needs of students across North Carolina is critical as DPI and North Carolina educators work to ensure that all students are career and college ready. The major work streams of the Division of Advanced Learning and Gifted Education focus on academically and intellectually gifted students and programming, advanced placement, international baccalaureate, Cambridge international education, credit by demonstrated mastery, dual enrollment, programs for high school students with North Carolina Institutes of Higher Education, including College and Career Promise and Cooperative Innovative High Schools, North Carolina High School Diploma endorsements. Programs focused on the advanced learning needs of our students are one of many ways that North Carolina is personalizing learning for students and supporting the growth of all of our students. In North Carolina, the state legislation mandates that the public schools identify and serve academically or intellectually gifted AIG K-12 students. Each LEA determines how to identify and serve its own AIG population. Our academically or intellectually gifted or AIG students perform or show the potential to perform at substantially high levels. of accomplishment when compared with others their age. Experiences or environment, and academically or intellectually gifted students exhibit high performance capability in intellectual areas, specific academic fields, or both in the intellectual areas and specific academic fields. Academically or intellectually gifted students require differentiated programs in educational services beyond those ordinarily provided by their regular education program. Outstanding abilities are presented in students from all cultural backgrounds, across all economic strata, and in all areas of human endeavor. Article 9B, which you do have before you, mandates that the plans for serving gifted learners must remain in effect for no more than 3 years. And as you can see, we are now at our 3-year mark. The AIG plan addresses our 6 standards, which are student identification, the comprehensive programming within total school community, differentiated curriculum and instruction, personnel and professional development, partnerships, and program accountability. You have had the opportunity, or you may have had the opportunity to review the plan that is before you, and you will see that the ECPPS AIG department has established practices that address each of those standards. At this time, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them.
Are there any questions for Ms. Griffin?
Well, thank you so very much for your continued support for all of our curriculum departments. Have a wonderful evening.
This is action. Chair Warden, this is an action item. Okay. If there are no questions, I make a motion to approve the AIG plan as presented by Ms. Griffin.
Ms. Parker, may we have a roll call vote? We've had a motion and a second.
Dr. Sheila Williams,
Yes.
George Archuleta,
Yes.
Virginia Houston,
Yes.
Pam Pereza,
Yes.
Rodney Walton,
Yes.
and Daniel Spence.
Okay, as the board members are aware, we are on the precipice of selecting students to be members of our board. And Ms. Pereza, along with Mr. Archuleta and Mr. Walton, served on this committee to do that, to get that organized. So, Ms. Pereza?
To announce that we have 3 applicants from Pasquotank County High School and 3 applicants from Northeastern who have completed all the requirements for our application process. Their GPAs have all been confirmed by their principals or schools, and now the next step is for us to schedule their interviews. So the committee has discussed a couple of different options. I mean, we just want to know what the board prefers. The interviews need to occur in July. As you know, we typically only have 1 meeting in July. We don't have a committee, we just have a board meeting. So the options would be to schedule these interviews at our next meeting, which is July 25th. That would mean that we would have 6 interviews that night. I don't anticipate them being long interviews. I think, you know, they're high school students. We make it as brief as possible for them. And the other option would be to schedule another meeting, maybe on the 11th or the 18th, like we would normally have a committee meeting, and do the interviews then. We just didn't know what the board preferred. I'm not sure what the agenda will be like in July, how heavy it will be. So I don't know if, you know, the board would prefer to have a longer meeting on July 25th and only meet once that month, or the other option again would be have the regular board meeting on the 25th and a separate meeting to do the interviews.
Say that again.
He said he preferred a short meeting on the 18th, which would be our date that for a committee meeting if we were going to have a committee meeting this month.
And since this is our first year doing this, it was a a thought that just kind of popped in my head before the meeting, typically July is only a board meeting, but moving forward, we could kind of set that we would have interviews in place of a committee meeting moving forward. And that would be what that meeting is for, the first meeting in July. And then hopefully July 25th at that meeting, it would make sense to go ahead and discuss and vote on the board members for each school. If
That makes sense.
Okay with that.
Yeah.
Just didn't know if everyone was going to be in town and available to sit in on those interviews. The other concern would be if one of the students was not able to attend on the 18th, we could give them the 25th as a second option. Does that sound okay?
That sounds good. How about our members who are joining us virtually? Do you have a problem with either one of those dates?
No.
I'm good with both.
Okay.
All right, great. So we don't need to take action on that, but we will need to announce that we're having a meeting on the 18th. Are you guys okay with starting at, say, 5:30? That be okay for everyone?
Fine.
And then the next thing, you will receive packets for each student via email. We did have a couple of pieces that, because some of the applications were online on paper, and then some half and half. It's taken us some while to get it all organized, but we have it all ready to go, get it scanned in and organized, and so that you can look at the applications for all 6. And again, we did not have anyone from the early college. Did speak to Ms. Fife, and she did really try to get an applicant or 2, but she said she'll be on it for next year. So start working on the juniors for this year, for next year. Yeah, that's right. And that's it.
So we're going to meet on the 18th at 5:30 for interviews for the student members. If any of those students are unable to attend, then they will come on the 25th, which is our regular board meeting, and we'll conduct the interviews for those particular students at that time. Okay.
We'll start reaching out to the students and making sure that they can come. I mean, I'm thinking a 10, 15-minute slot at the most for each student, if that's okay with everyone.
Sounds good. Thank you very much, all of you, for working so hard on this. And I know, Ms. Perez, you had some assistance on the central office level with some of these applications that were coming in. So I want to thank those persons as well. Okay, so we're all set for that. And we're going to move on to the Global Citizens and Healthy Students Committee. Mr. Archuleta.
Yes, me and Mr. Spence head up a committee. We met with SRO officers, the girl, and Dr. Ingram, and some of the staff, the central staff, just to discuss SRO training, because there was a couple of questions that were also involved. What we decided is there's going to be some tweaking to the MOU. And we also talked about the duties of the SRO and to get them more active. And the principals seem to be all right with that. And I do believe that once Dr. Parker's on board, we will continue with another meeting or encourage him to meet with them to keep it going and see what we come up with, because we want to make sure that the administrators from the school are satisfied, that they are up to date on everything, and they are satisfied, because there was a little mix up about what the duties of the SRO was. Some were, I guess, allowed to walk around, and some didn't have freedom to walk around. And so that's going to get off straight. But anyway, we just want to present to you, we want transparency. We've always talked about that. And we had that meeting and we thought transparency. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Archuleta. And you also have one more item on for your committee.
Excuse me. I'm sorry, Miss Reinhardt. We have Miss Reinhardt who's going to talk about the bid awards for food, supplies, and milk. Excuse me for that, Miss Reinhardt.
Now I have to write this down so I don't get it wrong. Chair Warden, Vice Chair Williams, board members, interim superintendent, Dr. Ingram, and incoming superintendent, Dr. Parker. I believe you have the handouts. We did have to do all new bids this year because of the supply chain issues and the prices going up. No one wanted to roll over. So we had to rebid everything. On our groceries, we are a member of the North Carolina Alliance Co-op, so that's a good thing. There's purchasing power there. And Cisco Hampton Roads bid on our groceries, and that's lot 1. So we awarded that. We recommend the award to go to Cisco Hampton Roads, that they were our only bidder. Also on supplies, they were our only bid. And then on produce, lot 4, both Cisco Hampton Roads and Greenville Produce bid, and Greenville is the recommended bid awarding. Then milk was a new bid as well. This year we did something new. We bid milk with Currituck County to increase our purchasing power, and Pet Dairy and Mayola both bid. Pet Dairy receiving the bid recommendation. Next year, maybe we can rebid milk again with the entire alliance, our co-op alliance, but there's 13 of us in the group. So, yeah. Is there any questions on the bids?
And you do want us to take action on this tonight, correct? Okay. Are there any questions or concerns? All right. So may I have a motion from the floor to take action on that, and a second?
I make a motion that we take action on this bid that Ms. Reinhardt has presented.
Okay, and I need a second for that?
Second.
All right. And a roll call vote.
Dr. Sheila Williams,
Yes.
George Archuleta,
Yes?
Virginia Houston,
Yes.
Sam Perezza,
Yes.
Rodney Walton,
Yes.
and Daniel Spence.
Okay. Motion has passed. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Reinhardt. All right, and now we're ready to go into closed session. Dr. Williams, are you good to take us into closed session?
Yes, I am. Okay, for the motion, this is a motion for the board to go into closed session as allowed by NC General Statute 143 through 318, 11A6, for the purpose of considering one or more personnel matters that are confidential under NC General Statute 115C through 320, and as allowed by NC General Statute 143 through 318, 11A3. To consult with the board attorney regarding matters protected by the attorney-client privilege and to preserve that privilege.
And I need a second from the floor.
I'll second it.
Okay, we've had a motion and a second by Mr. Archuleta. We need a roll call vote to go into closed.
Dr. Sheila Williams,
Yes.
George Archuleta,
Yes?
Virginia Houston,
Yes.
Sam Perezza,
Yes.
Rodney Walton,
Yes.
and Daniel Spence.
Okay, we'll take a brief break. I want to thank those of you who have come from the public night. Have a safe trip going home. We appreciate all of our staff members who were here to make presentations. So with that said, you may go home.